Okay, well, yesterday ended up being an extremely successful competition for myself. I'm very pleased with how it went. I had the great honour of having my coach Delwyn McQueen with me. So, you can't really go wrong there. Time came around. Well, I was the first one to weigh in on the competition. I weighed in the heaviest I've ever weighed in the comp, 108 kilos. Slightly disappointing with that. I would have liked to have weighed slightly less. But it was more, the case that I just wasn't too keen on dieting down for this one, and I sort of wanted to push my body to almost the full limit that I could with the current hernia that I have. And it'll be my last comp for a while now, so I probably won't look again to compete until around August or slightly later time this year. Then hopefully I can actually develop a bit more of a baseline to go from. But this is a good start. Time came around quite quick. I was very lucky to have Massage Tech, one of my sponsors, with me, which was fantastic. A lady doing the photography, so that was great. And I think she had quite an enjoyable day. Although unfortunately everyone was fighting for seats because there's quite a lot of spectators. But no, it was a very successful competition for me. I suppose the highlight really was breaking 500 pounds on the deadlift, which is something I was really keen to do. And I have to hugely thank my coach for that, because I was actually reluctant to do that. Go for a fourth attempt after my third attempt because it didn't feel that easy. But having said that, my fourth attempt was probably easier than my third attempt, so it just depends sometimes. But yeah, it was a very successful competition for me. I totalled 572.5 kilos, so it wasn't a bad day at the office really, in the scheme of things. About another 50 to make up, then I'll be on the British Open qualifying total, which is more than achievable, to say the least. So what happened was I warmed up with the bar, did about 10, did 5 and 60 on the squat, went up to 100 for free. Then after that, it's purely just working on singles. You don't want to take too much energy out of you. You don't want to waste your energy in the warming up room. That's not part of that's not what you want to be doing when you're competing. So then after doing 3 and 100, it was purely just a few more warm-up singles just to get the body ticking, keep hydrated, waiting around for the lifting. I was one of the last ones to open on the squat, so that was not so bad. Gives me plenty of time. So I did, as I said, sit bar about 10, 60 for 5, 100 for 3, 130 for 3, I think it was, 150 for 1, 170 for 1. Last warm-ups single in the warm-up room. Felt very good. Bar wasn't great, but a bit of bar movement, but that's not really an issue. The focus really was just getting good speed on it. So that was all good, set in stone. My first opening attempt was 190. This was slightly nervous. It was never not going to get squatted, but the first attempt of a competition is always a nervy one. You could have competed. It could be your first comp, or it could be your 500 comp. You will probably always still a bit nervous on your very first attempt on the squat, because that's the baseline for the rest of the competition. So yeah, that was good. I got 3 whites. It was literally arse to grass, as I like to call it. I don't go half-heartedly with squats. I never have, and probably never will. Don't get me wrong. It probably won't do my knees good long term, but nonetheless, that's part of the attraction of powerlifting for me. Powerlifting's not for the faint-hearted. And then it came around to squat number 2. So my coach at Delroy put 200 for my second attempt. So this is a smart number really. I've doubled it in training, very run down, and it's 2.5 less than my previous comp PR on the 15th of November. Again, 3 white lights, as I like to say, arse to grass. It was very deep. Actually easier than my opening lift. Now warmed up, no nerves, etc. So feeling great. Time came round for squat number 3. This I was very pleased with. 210, you know, a big 7.5 competition PR, and it was actually quite comfortable. Again, arse to the floor, 3 white lights, and a very good technical lift. Probably the best technically I've lifted on the squat in a comp. So you know, I'm learning. Good bar position, head up, chest out, hips out, get the glutes activated, get the hamstrings activated, and just a very nice lift, and it looked good. So, you know, it was going to be a good day. Get the squats in, got my 3 squats in. They asked if I wanted a 4th, you know, because it was a novice and junior competition, but I declined it. Saved myself for the big dead, which is actually what happened, so that was good. Time came around, back in the warm-up room for benching. Did about bar times 10, roughly. Then did 60 times 5, 83. And then it was just a single on 100 and a single on 110, keeping a nice line. Keeping that arch reasonably tight, keeping the lats nice and tight, keeping the shoulder blades squeezed together, and just making sure it was nice and smooth, which it wasn't too bad. Actually, funnily enough, 110 didn't feel as good as it had done in training. That may be slightly due to the fact I was slightly lighter coming into this comp than what I was a few days out from the comp, but I did want to try and lose a little bit of weight. Whether that was a strategical plan, which it was a bit, because there was a couple of others of my weight flight, or just because it's better not to weigh too much when it's not going to carry over to actually what you lift. So that was very good, and I was extremely pleased with that. Time came around for the deadlifts. This is what I was most excited about. This is where I've put a lot of effort into my deadlift to really try and get it going. So, you know, again, in the warm-up room, we all took it in turns. We had a couple of platforms running in the training and warming up area. Again, I was pretty pleased with how this felt, you know, feeling good, nice and fresh coming into the comp. So, you know, £500 plus was the target, which is what I succeeded in doing. So I did 5 on 60, did 3 on 100, you know, not not focusing on speed, that's not necessary. For competition at this stage, don't waste it. Don't use all your energy up into warming up. It's just not necessary. So then, what the next thing after that? I did 130. I just did a couple on this, or single. I think it was actually just really focusing on speed and drilling through, and keeping in good line. So then it was after 130. I did 160 for a single again, just focusing purely on speed, keeping a couple of minutes between each single. Making sure I don't warm up too quick. That's the worst thing you could do, is warm up too quick. You cool down, go on the platform, and you get a bit of a shock to the system, and B, you know, potential injury. There is a potential chance of injury if you let yourself cool down too quickly in between the rotating of each lifter. Then my final single was 190. Again, you know, this was just one single to be explosive as possible, and it felt actually really good. And it wasn't the best of bars, but it wasn't a bad bar. But it felt very nice, very confident, job done. Time came around on the platform on my opening attempt of 210. You know, and I went up to this prior to the competition 10 days out, so I was extremely rested, felt very good. And it wasn't bad, it wasn't as nice as I would have liked it to have been. It was smooth, but it wasn't that quick. So there's a few technical areas that I need to work on the deadlift, I think, based on my competition. You know, working on the breathing technique and really just working on that and keeping really tight, because that's a big difference between lifting a lot more and not lifting a lot. And you can get that extra weight on the bar just by keeping tight. You know, it's such an important aspect of the lift itself. So yeah, this was great, and then I then went up to 220 on my second attempt. This felt easier than my opener. Again, I guess it's just slight nerves. Make sure you don't bomb out and not get your first opening deadlifting, which was not really ever going to happen. But you know, it's always in the back of your mind slightly. You know, no matter how experienced or inexperienced you are when competing on the platform. So yeah, I've got 3 white lights again, as I say, for 220. That felt good. So my third attempt, my coach decided to just break the 500 barrier, which was great because it's what I wanted to do. So I did 227.5. It was good. It was actually probably slightly easier than my second attempt of 220. It felt good. I lost the line slightly, but you know I kept the bar close to me, which is what I've been struggling to do prior to this competition. Actually, it's actually not always that easy to do. The platform was very good, so that wasn't an issue. Um, and yeah, got that. I got 3 white lights for that, and finally could say I'm now in the £500 club for the deadlift. I believe it's 501 to be exact, 227.5. And then I was asked if I wanted the option of the fourth lift, which I was actually going to pass on, but my coach, as good as he is, decided to go up again. He wouldn't normally have done this, but he said he believed I could do it, and right he was, and I should have had a bit more faith in myself. So I took a fourth attempt lift. This wasn't a record or anything, but in the novice juniors and in juniors and novice competition championships, which this was, they do allow you to do 4 lifts on each if you potentially want to do that, which also counts part as your total, which is quite good. So yeah, I took a fourth attempt of 232.5 on the deadlift, which is a big 7.5 kilo PR previous from only roughly 8 to 9 weeks ago, from the 15th of November when I did 225. This was good. It felt smooth. It was quite nice off the floor, reasonably good bar control, but I struggled slightly at the top. I'm not sure if that's because the bar movement travelled slightly away from me as I got towards the knee stage, and my hips were maybe fractionally too high from where they should have been for me to pull and lock out smoothly. However, I did manage to lock it out smoothly. I shot that got the glute drive through at the top, stood back with it and locked it out, and again got 3 white lights. It was a nice smooth lift. It was tough, but it was probably the most I had there on the day. You know, and in hindsight, if there was anything I could have done differently, maybe coming into this competition, it would maybe be, you know, maybe be slightly less demeaning on myself in terms of actually being a bit more positive coming into it. I hit pretty much all the targets and trajectory targets I had in mind for this comp. Yes, in hindsight, I would have liked 580. Unfortunately, I was 7.5 off that because I totaled 572.5. But the actual target was between 570 and 580, which is what I did. So I'm glad I did the fourth deadlift attempt and got that, because had I not have done that, then I would have actually been below my trajectory total target. And I got an overall competition PR of 22.5 kilos, so that was great. Anyway, that was it. Just a quick sort of summary of my competition, and that for you guys to like, share and subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be doing many more videos, of course. I'm probably getting back in the gym as soon as Wednesday for some very light conditioning work. I'm ready to peak up for the next couple of weeks prior to my operation. And then I'll be having about a 4-week break off, which I hate to say. But I don't think this will be too bad. In the long run, it will be better. I should be able to push my body to its ultimate limit then. At the moment, I'm restricted to what I can do to some extent with my injury I have. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that, and thank you guys for listening to me droning on. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to breaking my goals for the end of 216 and qualifying for the Open British, which will be one of my first nationals in the Open. Let's get started. Peace, guys. Peace.